Calling the May 1st, 2025 meeting of the Housing Authority of Travis County to order at 9:46. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chair Laura Getchie.
Present.
Vice Chair Judy Flores.
Present.
Commissioner Cheryl Brown. Commissioner Wilmer Roberts.
Present.
And Commissioner Jimmy Paper.
Present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. The first thing on the agenda, item 2, public hearing regarding resolution number HATC 2025-05.
Yeah, so the public hearings are required whenever there's policies that go forward. Obviously, there was a comment period that we've allowed for public comment, and now we'll have the public hearing if anyone wants to speak on the item. But certainly they also have another opportunity when you actually act on the resolution. But this is one of the requirements to have a public hearing.
Okay.
No one has signed it.
Moving on to item number 3, public forum and citizens
So if you could just close the public hearing, I'm sorry.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
this
of
one-
course. Do I need a vote to close the public hearing, or do I just need to formally close it?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I was looking around, I was like, okay, no.
With no one being signed up to testify or to come speak with us about the resolution, I'm going to close the public hearing regarding resolution number HATC 2025-05.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
And now moving on to public forum, do we have anyone signed up to speak to the HATC board today?
Yes, we do. We have Shoshana Krager with BASTA.
So Shoshana, it's 3 minutes as per usual.
And I haven't.
Yeah, I know I'll be cut off. You guys are good at that.
Yeah.
It would be great just to note for the public hearing where you didn't even talk about what the public hearing was, to just announce to everyone in the room what the public hearing is about, just basic transparency issues. My testimony today isn't substantive since there hasn't been any substantive updates from the board or staff of HATC on any of the concerns we've raised. We are happy to see that the items are on the agenda today, and we hope that there is some movement. I do want to note that that's in stark contrast to every other public entity that we engage with, where when we raise concerns, we have an interactive dialogue with staff and board members who take our concerns seriously, and even if they don't do exactly what we want, they show curiosity and a willingness to want to correct problems and to want to dive into what the problems are to make the entity better, and to engage with community partners, which, as y'all know, has been extremely lacking here. I do want to, and in fact, actually the city, we know more about what's going on with Eastern Oaks from the city than from y'all, since the city has been in communication with us about your non-compliance with the loan and what some steps they are taking to address it. So it's just odd that we have heard nothing from y'all, but we actually have had back and forth with our city partners, which I think says a lot about the transparency or lack of transparency of this body. For the rest of my testimony, I do want to talk about something which I was remiss to name at the last meeting, and my team mentioned it immediately after, and I feel bad that I did not mention it in the moment, which was the way in which you treated Ms. Villarreal, who is the tenant who spoke at the last meeting. She was about to wrap up her testimony, and she was really rudely cut off. And I've been to countless public meetings and where people talk over their time limit. And normally at the end, there's a kind of prompt of, your time's up, can you please wrap up your last thought? Something like that. That did not happen here. Instead, she was told, your time is up, and continuing to talk and not even let her wrap up her thoughts. It was clear she was at the end of her testimony. She is a tenant. She is who you all are supposed to be serving. And you couldn't, and there were only 2 people talking that day. You couldn't give her the modicum of respect when you let the developer who talked at TCFC drone on and on about random, are you interrupting me?
I said you have 20 seconds left.
Okay, great. Well, I will reserve the 20 seconds you interrupted me. You allowed the developer to drone on and did nothing to respect the tenant, who it's really hard and takes a lot of bravery to come up here and testify. So I would hope that y'all as human beings recognize that as being a challenge and being something you can improve on for the next time.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else signed up to testify? Or just
We do not.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, item number 4, approval of minutes for the April 17th regular board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
And a second?
So moved. Or second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries, thank you. And also on the consent agenda, so I guess I'll do another vote for that, is just the CEO Executive Director's report. Can I get a motion to approve that report on
So
the
moved.
consent agenda? In a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? That consent agenda item carries, thank you. Moving on to action items, number 4, resolution number HATC 2025-05. So am I correct that this is the item that we just had a public hearing on?
That is correct,
Okay.
yes.
To approve HATC's proposed changes to the Housing Choice Voucher Administrative Plan with implementation date of March 1st, 2025.
Yes, so Christina's not here. She's actually at an MTW conference, which I highly encourage her to go to, particularly given some of the concerns we have about shortfall and other things. So she is there. So I would just like to highlight, there was a one-pager that provided a summary or synopsis of the 600-plus pages of the policy that I'm sure all you took all weekend to read. But some of those changes most of those changes are in compliance with HATMA changes to the PIH notice that was also included in the packet. So we can do a deep dive, but I mean, most of those changes only reflect changes that had already been made via code, I should say. And if you have any questions specifically, I can answer, but.
Any questions? No. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution HATC 2025-05.
So moved.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? The motion carries. Moving on to resolution number HATC 2025-06 to approve the selection of a strategic planning consultant per staff recommendations.
Yes, as you know, we put out an RFP for a strategic planning consultant who will be guiding us through our efforts to develop a new roadmap for the next 5 years, 2026 through 2030. I'm pleased to announce our new Deputy Director, Cora Thomas, will be providing you an overview of the process. So I'm going to invite her to share some additional information, come up to the front and share about the strategic planning process.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning,
Welcome
all.
and
First of all,
congratulations.
thank you. First of all, just thank you for the opportunity. I've been at the position for 2 weeks. Been in Austin, Texas as well for 2 weeks. So yes, so I come from Oklahoma from a tribal housing authority as executive director. So I'm excited to be part of the team here at Travis County. So I'll just dive into where we are. So one of the priorities tasks I was assigned to was overseeing the submissions for the strategic planning process. And we received several proposals, and all of them were thoroughly looked at and evaluated. We had a established point system criteria that we looked at all of those, and I would like to at this time just recommend their approval for the selection of Innovative Funding Partner, as the consulting firm for the strategic planning. They are a nationally recognized consulting firm. They have been established for 12 years. Their main office is in Virginia. I feel like their proposal is going to align with the mission here at the Housing Authority, and I've been in contact with them. So we've already established what that framework would look like. So at this time, I'm just recommending approval.
What's the timeline for the actual strategic planning process?
It would be for the next 4 to 6 months. So we would just start this actually in the month of May. We would start a kickoff.
And the goal is at the December board meeting to approve the actual plan.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your efforts. Look like you hit the ground running.
I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Matilda.
Welcome. Yeah.
With that information, I will entertain a motion to approve HATC 2025-06.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I think I heard that it was unanimous that time, so motion carries. Thank you. Discussion items number 6. I'm going to go a little bit out of order here because there might be a need for executive session with item A. So I'm actually going to start with item B, tenants' rights discussion. I did want to start by saying I got a lot of, I'm not sure if the rest of the board did too, but I got a lot of community member correspondence, and I wanted to put that on the record so that those people's advocacy could be acknowledged. So I got emails from Angel Bierce, Mikhail Ramos, Miranda O'Brien, Talia White, Samantha Bren, Sabrina Borgia, Miranda Best, Carrie Clark, Gabriela Garcia, Rachel Shannon, Andy Coco, and Raymond Blue. And so I wanted to start by thanking all these folks for caring so much about these matters and reaching out to us, and wanted to make sure that that was on the record and the whole board knew about it.
I think we all received them, at least I did, and I was concerned about California and seeing this reference to an individual from California input into our consultation.
There are some substantive matters that we wanted to discuss regarding tenant right, and so I turn that over to you, Patrick.
Yes, how close? This is ETA.
He's sitting about 10 minutes away.
Okay, our attorney's in traffic, so apologize. So
This is Corey?
it's Corey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we could actually just go into executive session for item A, and then it should go fairly quickly, and then come back to B and C, even though we thought otherwise, but I thought he was here.
I understand. So I'll table B and C. We will return to these discussions. I'll move into A, Executive Director Report, and I don't know if you want to go through as much as we can publicly before getting into executive session.
Let us go ahead and go into executive session and then come back out, and then we'll discuss the balance of it.
Okay. The Board of Commissioners is going to go into executive session to discuss items covered under the Texas Government Code.
I have to say which code.
That's 551.
Yes, that's 551.072 real property.
Yes, 7-1 and 7-2.
7-1, consulting with attorney, and 7-2, real
7-2.
property.
Yeah.
At 9:59. Time is 9:59. We'll move into executive session.
We are ready.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
Then I'll call us back to regular session at 10:26, and we'll continue with discussion item A.
Oh, you can go ahead and pull up colors.
All right, well, get our test.
She's on it.
Hi, good morning. I'll just brief by exception. If you guys have any questions, feel free to just ask. We'll go ahead and get started with Eastern Oaks. At Eastern Oaks, we have one vacant unit, but they are scheduled to move in by May the 5th. We have quite low delinquency accounts, so we're handling that property quite well. We have 0 outstanding work orders and no pending evictions. We'll move on to Summit Oaks. We do have 3 vacant units. I know it's reflecting as 4, but one of them actually moved in yesterday. We do have applications going through the whole compliance, trying to get them qualified. We do have delinquent accounts, although the highest delinquent account, we did receive payment for them yesterday. For the other highest delinquent account, we are still pending eviction. We're waiting on the court to set a trial date for them, and then we'll just move forward with them. We do have 1 outstanding work order, but we're waiting on parts to arrive so that we can go ahead and complete that work order.
And we've done all we could with regards to the delinquency for that one.
Yes, sir. We've already sent out the proper notices to all the tenants. They're well aware that they do have a balance. They're working with the assistant manager, trying to get either a payment plan worked out with them or seeing when we can get them scheduled to make an actual payment for their delinquent accounts. And then we'll move on to Alexander Oaks. So we have 0 vacant units there at the property. We're 100% occupied. This is our one of our highest delinquent account properties. But we are working with all of the tenants. Some of these delinquent accounts appeared from recent interim certifications that changed, and so we have alerted the tenants of the delinquent account balances. They're working with the assistant manager so that we can work on a payment plan or get them with some of the agencies that are assisting to make those payments as well. We don't have any outstanding work orders or any pending evictions for Alexander Oaks.
And for the work orders on Alexander Oaks, did I see in your update that Miss Villarreal's screen was replaced?
Yes, those screens were replaced.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Carson Creek. We had 2 delinquent accounts. One of them actually paid, so we only have 1. It's the 1 outstanding account that's been lingering in our system there. We're just waiting again for them to return to serving proper notice and proceed with the eviction. And then over at Maynard 2, we do have 4 vacant units. We do have applications in the process. We have 1 scheduled to move in early part of May. We only have 1 outstanding work order. Same thing with this one. We're just waiting on parts to arrive, and the maintenance technician will go out there and get that service completed.
In the board packet, Maynard 2 looked like it had a lot of in-progress service issues. So those have, all the ones from the board packet have been addressed?
Well, from the previous board packet, yes, that was due to a subcontractor going out there and updating those heating strips. So those have already been addressed. Now, on these new service requests, we've reached out again to the subcontractor. There's some failing parts. Some of them are either with the refrigerators, so we'll have to contact them for the warranty to take place and get them swapped out.
Okay. Thank you.
We can move on to Maynard 2. So I did mention the work orders there. We do have 4 vacant units, but we do have 4 working applications. One of them already approved, the others working with compliance to get them qualified to move in. And then if we can move on to Carson Creek. So we had inspections last week. Building 1302 was scheduled for last week, Thursday. Those inspections, unfortunately, they failed. We also are actually undergoing final building inspections for the remaining 7 buildings. We still have yet to receive those that official report. Hopefully, if not today, tomorrow they'll finish that inspection, and we'll see if we can move on acquiring those certificates of occupancy. We're maintaining We are maintaining communication with our tenants. So we've done in-person meetings. We've also had Arlene, our relocation specialist, always give them a call with any updates any new updates that we've acquired. Any questions on Carson Creek? Okay. And then for Maynard 2. So the contractor, he is finishing the last pending items. There's small details here and there, but he is still working through them. We still have Spectrum waiting to complete that project so that we can get internet services over to our residents there. Any questions?
I had a quick question about the resident council that met in March. Was it in March they had their first meeting?
March 13th, yes.
March 13th. Do we know when the next meeting is?
Next meeting is May the 24th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item B, tenants' rights discussion, or returning to our tabled item B, tenants' rights discussion.
Yes, so as you know, there has been correspondence, and some of it was brought up earlier about some of what had not been addressed, but we are fortunate to have Corey Rogers working with us and advising us on such. So he is going to address the issues outlined, identified in items B and C, and so I'm going to ask Corey to come up at this point and share his thoughts with the board.
Morning.
Good morning, Al. Does red mean it's on? Okay, thanks. I don't know. In my mind, I'm expecting green. Sorry. Yes, I want to address y'all. Obviously, I got looped in on things and have been in discussions with Carlos and with Patrick, and then they've been interfacing with Carlton as far as issues that were raised. I know Ms. Krieger had sent a couple of emails on behalf of BASTA to y'all back in the earlier part of April. I apologize for the lateness of my own email, but I did send y'all an email late last night. I have copies physically. I don't know if you've had a chance to see that.
Yeah, we read it.
Okay.
Pretty detailed.
I'm sorry. I'm long-winded. It's the problem with the trade. Anyway, in big broad strokes, it's true that the leases over there at Eastern Oaks didn't have the RHDA addendum in place. But again, there was just a misunderstanding there. They thought that they were in compliance because they had the audit, and the auditor said, yeah, everything's good. We're all good here. And again, even to the point that they didn't have that addendum in place on their leases, they've been receiving the protections of it. As far as the 24-hour notice of entry before linking and make a repair, I don't know about you, but when I want a repair made at my apartment, and I put that in, that's a welcome door. Please come as soon as you can. But again, if they go and the resident's like, no, now's not a good time, that's okay. Or if they submit in the work order and say, like, please come make this repair today. I mean, it's a little ticky-tack to me to be worried about something about making repairs too fast. That just seems odd to me. But again, they're going to be implementing those and phasing those in. Hopefully they're able to get residents to go ahead and come in mid-lease, but obviously as recertifications take place or as new leases get signed, they'll be implemented. And that's, again, only at Eastern Oaks. That's the only property. And this is just some of the issue that happens when you kind of have these layered programs where you've got multiple masters you're kind of serving to make sure that you're covering all your bases.
When you say they're going to be phased in, you mean the lease addendums are going to start being added to
Exactly.
the leases?
As leases are renewed and as leases are, or new residents move in, all new residents will have the lease addendum signed on their leases and put in there.
If people who are currently under lease, like say they're motivated and they want to have that lease addendum, can they come in and get that before their lease is renewed?
Absolutely. And I haven't specifically talked with Carlos or Carlton about this. I don't know if they want to send out a notice on that.
Yeah, so we have talked to our compliance department, and so they have given us the idea that we can blast out our notice to all of our residents and welcome them if they would like to sign the addendum at that time. And if not, we'll go ahead and complete it at their time of recertification or new movements like Corey suggested earlier.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah.
But they will all receive the benefits of it, regardless of whether they have signed it or not, even during this remaining term of the existing leases.
You said that they were still given the protections of the lease addendum even if it wasn't added.
Yes.
My question specifically was, part of the letter said that notices to vacate were improperly sent out earlier this year that didn't comply with the lease addendum. Can you speak to that, or have you seen what notices to vacate got sent out?
So as far as the notices, as of January, basically, they've all been getting 10-day notices, which is the 10-day notice to cure that the RHD addendum requires. And then also, then 30-day notices after that. And the 10-day notice, basically, it's convenient because HUD, for the other requirements at a project-based Section 8 property, HUD requires that you give the tenant 10 days to request a meeting to discuss the potential termination. So that lined up neatly anyway. So again, now that's since January. Before that, there was some confusion. I think it came before the board maybe November, but October, November range, there was some confusion about the notices for the overall portfolio. But we cleaned that up. And so again, since January, 10-day notices followed by 30-day notices.
Shoshana and others have indicated that we have not been keeping them informed, but have we, with the communications, has that been copied to them and forwarded to them, Patrick? Or
This email that I sent to y'all was only sent to Patrick and the board. I am happy to forward it on to her. Whatever the board wants to do as far as the communication with that, or I'll defer to Patrick or Carlos as far as how they want to handle interactions with them.
you get some input? Could you give us some input as to what to do?
Yeah, so I mean, again, as Corey has suggested, it's up to the board. I did speak with the chair about it in terms of bringing something back to you all, and obviously from that point, we would provide the dissemination of information, but he's an attorney, he was providing his clients with information, and at that point, then I would, if you all suggest, then I would share that information.
I would suggest an acknowledgement with some information that responds to the letter. Doesn't have to be the letter you sent to the board, but something in the form of a response is warranted.
I agree. I want to be transparent about our investigation and findings.
That was my point.
Yeah, and I said that he's a client, you all are a client, and he writes letters to us or to the board.
Take
And
care
so
of that for us,
then we would, per your guidance, provide that information elsewhere. So.
Sure, I literally can't send stuff away,
Yeah, that's correct.
until y'all give me the say-so. But with that, I'm perfectly happy to do that.
You can do what you feel is comfortable to you and Patrick.
Yes, we will take care of
it
it.
first before.
Yeah, I think we can look at whatever.
Yes,
we're gonna-
we can do that.
I did have a question about the 24-hour notice for tenant repairs, because I just simply don't know the answer to this. What is standard practice? If someone puts in and says, my refrigerator is broken, I guess, is it standard practice for if someone is available, like a maintenance individual is available to come out immediately, can they just come knock on the door and say, I'm here to fix your refrigerator? Or do they then have to give 24-hour notice, even if there is a maintenance person available to do it right away?
So when these service requests are called, right, the tenants, for let's say 90% of the time, they would ask for someone to go out there that same day, right? That already gives us the authorization. Otherwise, they'll schedule an appointment with us. But our staff is trained to ask whether we have permission or not to enter the unit.
I guess I'm asking, the 24-hour notice requirement can be waived by the tenant themselves.
That's right.
Fantastic, thank you.
And just to kind of give you a perception of like normal landlord-tenant law in Texas, there's no obligation to provide that advance notice. The landlord could just show up and go in under market. Now again, that is not the policy that HATC interacts with, but just so you know what normal other Texas law is.
Okay.
Just to kind of give you a comparison.
Some questions about Alexander Oaks. There was some information that there were, I guess first the late fees, that there was a draft to send late fees earlier than 5 days, but I guess the information that we got was that that draft wasn't actually sent out. Can you provide some clarification on that?
Sure. So there was a draft collection policy that was out to the main, not to the main staff, to the office staff, and the assistant manager sent out that draft over to the tenants without it actually being approved. But that's already retracted, and they have the proper collections policy updated now. And so they are well aware of what those are. Yes.
So that's been retracted and updated.
Yes.
We need to be careful
Yeah.
on that in the future and make
Yes.
sure the staff is all trained and not to disseminate it without someone higher up than staff.
We've already expressed that over to Carlton, and I've also expressed to send any updates over to me before they're actually submitting to the or blasting out to any of our tenants. They need to make sure and get it approved through HATC first.
Because I imagine that would be very frightening if you
Yeah.
were suddenly.
Yeah.
We want
Yeah.
to settle all the issues
Yeah.
and make sure everything is done up to par.
And this current policy is on the community bulletin board on site.
Christina, do we have it up there?
They're still working on the like verbiage, and as soon as that happens, I'll be able to send it out to the residents and post it on the bulletin board. But it's under construction as of right now. The actual letter that we're waiting for Carlton to give to us.
Did it get retracted and updated, and you're working on like a second update?
No, we're just waiting for the letter and the policy to come through on our end.
Okay.
So we're, I know it's been retracted. We notified the residents that they can continue to pay and how they've been paying. So we've originally retracted it with them. And however, we're just waiting for Carlton to send us the new form and in the Carlton format and on their letterheads.
And when are we expecting that?
Hopefully today or tomorrow. This is already in the works. So I know Miss Sharon, she wasn't able to attend due to emergency. However, she was going to relay that information that they have been already finalizing it and will be sending it out to us.
And the last thing I had on my list to ask about was notice of proposed eviction and 30-day notice to repay at Alexander Oaks. Were those getting sent out? I guess that's the 10-day notice of proposed eviction and 30-day notice to repay?
So, basically HUD has recently changed the way, let me clarify on the 30-day notice. So previously, you had to give the 10-day notice to give them an opportunity to come meet with you to say like, oh no, you've forgotten, you didn't credit me, I made this payment or something, just to clarify there was an issue. Also, there was an opportunity for them to come in and, their interim recertifications, you can say, oh, I actually lost income, you provide evidence about that, and that can change for the project-based rental assistance properties. That can change what your income, your rent amount is. And then after that was the 30-day notice to vacate that was required. As of January, late January, HUD implemented new rules, and now that 30-day notice is effectively a pay or quit. That's not something that Texas law has previously, under Texas law has been allowed in the past, but basically it's an opportunity. It's like during that 30-day period, you can either pay or you can vacate. And that's sort of the new notice. And so that's when we're talking about the 30-day to pay,
Okay.
That's what we're talking about. And so basically those are the two notices that are going to be given.
And those are what's currently going to be given?
Yes.
And you said it was late January that
That
those
was
were
when
in?
HUD, that was a HUD revision of their rules that went through and was implemented, I'm going to say January 24th, but don't hold me to that.
The last thing is we just want to make sure before anything goes out to the residents or please get it through, call us, you can run it up the chain before we do that.
Yes, sir. I'll make sure to remind Carlton management on that.
I know they change staff, and every time you change staff, you got to
Yeah.
spin people up.
Yeah.
Get them up to speed.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gordon.
Are there any other items to discuss in B and C? I think we kind of took those together. No. Is there any additional reason to go into executive session? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, folks.